Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. In a stunning verdict that sent shockwaves around South Asia, Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal has sentenced the ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to death in absentia for crimes against humanity over last year's brutal crackdown on student protests which claimed hundreds of lives. The 78-year-old, exiled in India since a dramatic ouster in August last year, now faces immediate extradition demands from Dhaka's interim government under Muhammad Yunus, who insists that India honour a bilateral treaty labelling Hasina a fugitive convict. Hasina's son, Sajib Wazid Joy, who I spoke to, and you'll see that interview in the next 1 minute or so, fired back from the US, branding the trial a complete mockery of justice and a sham. Rushed in just 140 days, he says, without proper defence, predetermined by an unconstitutional, unelected regime backed by Islamists. He vows that the verdict will be thrown out when rule of law returns and dismisses extradition pleas as being illegal. Now, New Delhi, treading a diplomatic tightrope, has noted the ruling but reaffirmed commitment to Bangladesh's peace and stability, offering no assurances per se on Hasina's protection or compliance, balancing old alliances with the new leadership amidst fears of regional unrest. As tensions simmer, will India yield? We're going to be looking very closely at that on our program. But a little while earlier, I did speak to Sheikh Hasina's son, Sajid Wazid. Listen in. Mr. Wazid, thank you very much for speaking to us. My first question to you is, your mother has been handed the death sentence in Bangladesh. Why do you believe that this is fundamental injustice towards her?
For so many reasons. You have such an important trial that was conducted, that was finished within something like 140 days from start to finish, which that's almost impossible. They had to amend the laws to enable these trials to be fast-tracked, which only Parliament can do, and right now there is no Parliament. This is an unelected regime. The government itself is completely unconstitutional, unelected and illegal. And the verdict was predetermined. We all knew. I even said this in interviews yesterday and before this. Everybody knew. All journalists as well asking. I asked the journalists, what do you think the verdict's going to be? Everyone knows this was going to be the verdict. It was a sham.
How is your mother coping with the death sentence verdict? You know, you've spoken to her, obviously. And what's her message for her supporters in Bangladesh?
Our message is that this verdict does not matter. This is completely illegal. When rule of law returns to Bangladesh, this will not be sustainable. It will all get thrown out. And we are going to fight for the time being. We are the oldest and largest political party in Bangladesh, and we are going to fight for our rights and for democracy.
With Dhaka renewing its extradition request, India does have a 2013 treaty with Bangladesh. Do you believe that her safety, her physical safety, could potentially be at risk?
Not at all, because again, the request comes from an illegal, unelected, undemocratic government. And the trials themselves were highly illegal. So why would New Delhi comply with such an illegal request? That will never happen.
And you've been given an assurance that New Delhi will continue to defend and protect your mother?
No, I don't have any such assurances, but I just know that everything that has happened in Bangladesh for the last year and a half, and especially with these trials, has been completely illegal and unconstitutional. So it would actually be illegal of India to comply with such an illegal request.
One of the key concerns we've seen in Bangladesh are attacks on minorities, whether it's churches which have been attacked or Hindus. Is the Yunus regime failing to protect your country's secular fabric, something that your family championed?
Not only are they failing, they are actually participating in it. The Yunus regime is backed by Jamaat-e-Islam and other Islamists. And that is why in these upcoming elections, they have banned not just the Awami League, but de facto they have banned all secular and progressive parties. That is why they're doing this, in order to establish an Islamic state in Bangladesh.
You've highlighted the ISI and China's growing influence in your country, Will today's verdict, in a sense, embolden these forces? And how can the Awami League counter them from exile?
The Awami League is not in exile. The Awami League still has millions, tens of millions of supporters in Bangladesh. We've called for lockdowns over the last few days, and people have responded. The lockdowns have been very successful, and yes, we are going to fight. Our people are in Bangladesh. We're still going to fight, and unfortunately, whether anyone helps or not, we will fight.
Mr. Wazir, thank you very much for speaking to us. My first question to you is... All right, so the son of Sheikh Hasina over there, who's been sentenced to death in Bangladesh today, joining us to discuss this and the implications to India as well, Veena Sikri, former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, Sultan Mohammad Zakaria, Pushpita Gupta, and Shafqat Rabi. Thank you all very much for being with us. Pushpita Gupta, let me ask you this. Does today's verdict against Sheikh Hasina strengthen the interim government's legitimacy, or does it risk deepening divisions in a country which has already been fractured by last year's unrest? Pushpita, could you hear me? All right, we couldn't get that question. Let me take that across to Sultan Mohammad Zakaria. Mr. Zakaria, can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Thanks.
Does today's verdict against Sheikh Hasina strengthen the interim government's legitimacy, or does it risk deepening divisions in a country that's, seen so much unrest?
Well, I wouldn't say that it deepens the crisis. I think this is a question of justice that hundreds of people, I would say, that have been asking for since she fled to India. So I think that this is a matter of justice for the people who have been the victim of a brutal repression of the July uprising that killed.
Go across to High Commissioner Sikri, Ambassador Sikri at this stage, as we get those audio issues sorted out. I was a bit surprised, ma'am, by New Delhi's statement. It was non-committal in a sense. Given how strongly India has backed Sheikh Hasina, she's been allowed to stay on in our country. Did you expect to see a stronger statement objecting to what's happened in Bangladesh?
No, let me tell you that I think our statement was perfectly in the correct spirit. Now, this statement was made in response to the request from Bangladesh for the extradition of Sheikh Hasina, and it was made in response to a statement also made by Asif Nazrul, who's one of the advisors in the Yunus regime, saying that if you don't extradite Sheikh Hasina, the enmity between India and Bangladesh will grow. I must say, first of all, coming to this question of extradition, that a one-line request from the Bangladesh government is not an extradition request. In keeping with the extradition treaty that we have with Bangladesh, a request for extradition has to be accompanied by the full legal papers, the entire court verdict, the hearings, the evidence, how the evidence was proved, everything had to come. And the government of India, or any other government for that matter, cannot even start to comment on the question of extradition unless you receive all the legal papers. And when you receive all the legal papers, you have to examine them in India. There will probably be a court case in India where, of course, even Bangladesh lawyers can come, Sheikh Hasina's lawyers can come, Government of India lawyers will be there. And that is how we know, we've seen ourselves how with the UK, it's taken years to have hearings completed there and questions being asked, and only then, even then, the decision on extradition is not taken. So the government has just said, our government has just said that we are going to talk to all the stakeholders. So of course they will talk to all the stakeholders. This includes Sheikh Hasina herself, which includes the request which has come from the interim regime of Bangladesh. And certainly Indian government will take on board the fact that the ICT is not authorized.
So ma'am, spoken like a true diplomat. Why should New Delhi not say there is no question of India handing over Sheikh Hasina?
No, because even the response from the government of India has to be vouched in the same terms of the request for extradition that has come from there.
Okay.
So we are talking about the request for extradition.
Okay, all right, got it. I understand. Shafqat Rabi, let me come to you next. Mr. Rabi, you heard possibly Sheikh Hasina's son speak to me a few minutes back, where he says that where is the legitimacy of the Muhammad Yunus government And therefore, on what basis can India respond to an extradition request when the government itself is unconstitutional and illegitimate? Now, that's his interpretation, but in a legal case, how could you fault him?
So, thanks for having me. The government has been in power for quite some time now, almost 15 months. Indian Prime Minister has met Mohammad Yunus in various occasions internationally. India has never made any issues about the government being illegal or anything, and the international community has engaged the Yunus administration in multifaceted ways. So I do not know where he's finding this whole assertion that this is an illegal or illegitimate government. So that assertion is obviously not true. And then ICT, it was created by Sheikh Hasina herself in the past to prosecute her political opponents in the past. And she successfully executed multiple people through this same ICT. And going back to Veena Sikri's question, during Hasina's time, ICT has gone to Canada and Australia asking for extradition of people that the Hasina government deemed fugitives at that point. There were no like a legal case in Canada or Australia against those people. Bangladesh used to ask for extradition. So we have precedents here for asking for Sheikh Hasina's extradition back to Bangladesh.
Mr. Rabi, what happens if India doesn't comply with that request?
Well, the chance of India complying is almost dim. It's non-existent.
Yeah.
We know that. India has decided to take side of a person over a country or the people. So that's India's political prerogative. I don't have any comment about it. The chance of Hasina returning to Bangladesh is very dim.
Pushpita Gupta, what if she is not extradited? What would the implications be? For all the reasons that Ambassador Sikri has said, it's not going to be an open and shut case. There's obviously a process. But what if New Delhi were to eventually decide that no, she will not be returned, and that the process of justice in Bangladesh is very, very fast. It's just taken 140 days. She's not really been represented in the way that she wants to, and therefore she can't be set back. If that is an argument that's made, what are the implications?
It is actually, the previous gentleman said, India has taken side, Sheikh Hasina over the country. And it is, I don't think it is true. I recently visited India as well. And I have spoken to many government officials about what is happening in Bangladesh since Sheikh Hasina government fell or Sheikh Hasina freed the country. And if you just a little bit go like 1 year, not even 15 months, if I go back like 1 year, what is happening in Bangladesh? India is very concerned about Bangladesh. It's not about Sheikh Hasina, it's about the country itself, because this country is going backwards like 100 years. If you even Sheikh Hasina left on 5th of August, how many people died since 2024, 5th of August? This is my question. So why Dr. Yunus came to power, even if he was not legal or if he was legal, how did he give this amendment or those killers, the people who he has been killing since 5th of August, and they have no justice for those people. Hindus are getting killed every single day. How many activists being killed every day? You have noticed that people are being even saying those words, Joy Bangla. Joy Bangla means, Joy Bangla is the slogan of Bangladesh. It's nothing to do with Awami League. Even people saying Joy Bangla, they're being arrested, they're being killed. Even minors, children are being put in
okay,
jail.
Let me get a response. Shafqat Ravi, would you like to respond to
just
that?
1 hour.
That she's been accused, Sheikh Hasina has been accused of violence, which has resulted in the death of a lot of people. There have been so many questions on her regime and whether it was fair or not. But after she came to India, has there necessarily been, a peace in Bangladesh? It appears from so many accounts that that's not been the case.
Well, the proportionality is obviously not in favor of Hasina. The number of people got killed during July, August, as reported by the United Nations, 1,400 people. I do not think that many people died after she left. And going back to the Indian situation, it's not just Hasina. Her entire political hierarchy is residing in India right now. As I said, there are 1,400 people who are killed during July, August. There are many of those killers right now in India. India is not returning a single one of them. It's not just Hasina. India has decided to take side with just not one person, but the whole apparatus that fled a country to the neighboring country. So it's a political grandstanding, political grand decision that India has taken. So we cannot just isolate Hasina here. It's a grand narrative that needs to be discussed, and the Indians have to figure it out. Because is it a popular argument for India to do this? Maybe it is, but from a Bangladeshi standpoint, this is not.
Okay.
Think about this way: if Paresh Borua or like a Ulfa leader was in Bangladesh and directing attacks in India, what would you do? Would you just request and then just let Bangladesh just have that person?
Okay, Sultan Mohammad Zakaria, respond to that. I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair way of looking at it. If there was a criminal from India in Bangladesh and allowed to reside in Bangladesh, India would certainly have problems with that. Mr. Shafqat Rabi says that, take that as an example and look at Sheikh Hasina in India. Why won't Bangladesh, or at least the people in government in Bangladesh, have similar problems? How would you respond?
Just let me give you one example. What I say is usually that in the recorded history of this land, Bengal, there is no government, no regime, except the wartime. In the peacetime, no government has killed as many people as Sheikh Hasina did in July and August, just in this span of 3 weeks. And everything happened on live. I don't know what this lady is, where did she live, but it's hundreds of thousands of videos that police shot at protesters, killed at point blank range, and there are dozens of audio tape leaked with forensic analysis and etc. that Sheikh Hasina clearly ordered use of lethal weapons. How do you square with that? I think the question for us as a Bangladeshi is to hold the perpetrators to account, be it a general, be it a former prime minister, whoever. Now, whether India will take the extradition treaty seriously and extradite her, it's an Indian question. They have to solve it. What kind of relationship they want with the Bangladeshi governments, subsequent governments.
Ambassador Sikri, you wanted to come in, go ahead.
Well, I want to say very clearly that my previous panelists have just said that, the UN has given this report and this is all on TV. What about all the other people, the policemen, the attacks on the police stations, the 400 police stations destroyed,
Absolutely.
Thousands of policemen killed, the police force is still not back on in full force, and there is no accountability for that. In fact, all the people of the NCP and others have got indemnity for themselves, saying that we will never be charged for
Indemnity, that's it.
So, if they're so righteous about it, why aren't they themselves subjecting themselves to this kind of scrutiny and trial? Why have they taken indemnity for themselves? I can tell you that the number of 1,400, even Volker Turk in his report said, there is no way you can come to a number. Many of these 1,400 were killed after the 5th of August. And I have seen even the Bangladesh media reports where people have said, Pratham Alo and others said, we went door to door to door, and they have given a number of some 300 or 350 people. And they said they went to all the hospitals, they went to the homes. This is what the reporting in the Bangladesh media was. The most respected Bangladesh newspaper, Pratham Alo, reported this. And now suddenly it's been inflated, and you're talking about the biggest mass murder, and as if they do not know what happened in the Liberation War in 1971, the lakhs and millions of people who were raped and lynched. And what about the number of the Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, the minorities, the Sufis, the Ahmadiyas, who have been, even today, being raped, lynched, killed, their lands taken away, their businesses destroyed. There is no accountability. And the BNP, who is, some part of the BNP is in cahoots with the Jamaat-e-Islami, they are doing extortion. And that is why the people of Bangladesh don't want that regime anymore. The Jamaat-e-Islami is trying to get the maximum votes for themselves by banning the activities of the Awami League, banning the activities of Jatiya Party, not letting them join the elections, and making sure that their regime is as unrepresentative as possible.
All right, okay, hang on. I've got just about a minute left.
Can I just get into that?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Briefly.
Can I just add
Yes.
one thing? So if you have a if you want a fair justice, or if you want something a fair verdict in the court, then why do you have a chief justice to prosecutor to lawyer? Everybody's from Jamaat Islami. Why don't you have a fair and then an independent lawyer or prosecutor or a chief justice? So it's just all just pre-planned and all just from the one group of the people. And then also Dr. Yunus came to power and he released all these extremists from the jail who are well-known killers, who are well-known rapists, and they all are freed from their jail. So they are all open and walking on the street.
All right, okay. Let's hold on. You made your point. I've got 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
Shafqat Rabi, finish this up. You've got exactly 30 seconds. 40 seconds.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
I mean, these are very repetitive accusations that Vina Sikri and others make in every news show they go to, these Jamaat Islami and everything. The key issue here is this. Hasina's own police chief has become a state witness and he has turned against her own police chief. And her own intelligence agencies recorded her telephone conversations, and in those conversations, BBC World Service verified that she was directing killing students through helicopters. That's the fact.
All right, look, we'll keep tracking this. I'm afraid we're completely out of time. But it's a difficult situation here in New Delhi. What does Delhi do? We want to develop relations with Bangladesh, but certainly not, a government in Bangladesh which has a sense of animosity towards New Delhi. This is a difficult situation for all Sheikh Hasina, her family rejecting the death sentence that has been handed out to her. We leave it there. Thanks very much for being with us.